This is Dr. Toby, your host on Health and Wellness. It's a pleasure to invite you to watch our show this week. We have a distinguished guest. Her name is Miss Gloria Mays. She's a psychiatric nurse practitioner, works at Serenity, works at Allegiance, and other independent practices. She's been a nurse now for 25 years. She's a minister, she's a Christian, she's a nurse practitioner, she's a daughter, she's a sister, and she's going to share her unique experiences over the last 30, 40 years of being alive as a Christian. She's going to share with you how she was born in Marouge, how she worked in New Orleans and Baton Rouge, got her undergraduate degree at Grambling State University, how she failed out of nursing school but never gave up, went on to pursue a advanced degree, a master's degree. She got 2 masters in Southeastern University and then got a nurse practitioner. She has a phenomenal story that tells you with God all things are possible. You don't want to miss it. Look forward to seeing you on our show. God bless you. Jesus is Lord. Hi, this is Dr. Toby Moma, your host on Health and Wellness. Thank you for joining us on our July edition or August edition, depending on when you watch it, of Health and Wellness. We are delighted, really delighted to have Miss Gloria Mays with us, the psychiatric nurse practitioner, works at different hospitals, Allegiance, and other facilities in the area, and a resource, Serenity, and a resource for people who need help in the mental area. She's been around working as a nurse for almost 25 years, trained in Marouge, schooled in Marouge at Delta High School, then went on to Grambling State University, got her bachelor's in nursing, worked for a few years in New Orleans and Baton Rouge, and then moved up to Shreveport, and then completed her master's, a double master's in administration and nursing at Southeastern University in Hammond, and got her nurse practitioner license from the University of Missouri as a clinical specialist worker. And today she's working independently with several psychiatrists in the area to bring mental health to the people who need it most. She's working as in an acute setting and an outpatient setting. And we are delighted. She's not just a psych nurse practitioner, she's also a minister of the gospel. She founded a ministry called Elijah Ministries. She takes care of missions, she takes care of women, she takes care of the social needs, the psychological, the medical, and emotional needs of this individual. So, and she does a lot of things with housing and financial stewardship and education. And she's a multifaceted woman of God. And what an honor, what a privilege to have her in our area. So with Jesus Joe, we just want to welcome Miss Gloria Mays again. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
What a delight to have you with us today. I just wanted to go back to your growing up years, and you talked a bit last time about your mom, but you didn't tell us a bit about your brothers. I'd like to know how many siblings you had and where are they now as a result. Like I said, your mom did an awesome job raising 7 children
Yeah.
all by herself. So will it be called a blended family in today's nomenclature?
Yeah.
Your family, will it be called a blended,
No,
since you had
we
different
yeah. So I
dads?
guess somewhat.
Okay.
My brothers, they were older.
Okay.
My I think my oldest brother, he may have graduated high school, uh, um, maybe when I was just in elementary school, and both of my brothers, they still. One of my brothers, once he graduated, he went off to work and built a career in New Orleans, in the New Orleans area, and then he retired back uh, to Marouge,
Mm.
and my other brother, he lived in Marouge. He lives in Bastrop now. He also, um, but they have my oldest brother have a number of children, 7, and one of his sons is a pastor. Yes, and
What
then
career did they pursue, your brothers?
as I told you, my oldest brother, he was a welder.
Okay.
Yeah, working for Avondale Shipyard in Marrero in Avondale, Louisiana. They work on Navy ships,
Mm-hmm.
cruise oil rigs and things
Right.
like that.
Hmm.
Very lucrative job, but
Okay.
dangerous too.
Dangerous, right?
Yes. And then my other youngest brother, he did mostly farm work. He worked for a gentleman there in Marouge,
Okay.
Elton Kennedy, who's rice dryers and everything. In
Oh.
fact, my family lives probably less than a mile from it.
Okay.
And but both of them experiencing some catastrophic illness. My oldest
Okay.
brother had a heart attack,
Oh,
maybe
sorry.
about I think in 2019, and then in January, and then my youngest brother had an aneurysm in October of 2019.
In the
But they
brain.
both recovered.
Wow.
Yes,
Praise God.
my youngest brother. At first, he had some speech, and he still has a little, but he has come a long way. He's able to walk, he's
Praise
mobile,
God. That's
and live
awesome.
independently.
Okay.
And then my sister, as I shared, my oldest sister, she graduated from NLU, but she went back, also got a degree in paralegal studies.
Nice.
And then my other sister, she got a scholarship to Mississippi Valley
Oh,
in music.
all
But
the
she,
way in Mississippi.
yes, yes,
Ina
yes.
Bina.
Yes, yes, and so and then one of my other my youngest sister, she graduated from Grambling in criminal justice.
Nice.
She actually experienced a CNS accident and had a real catastrophic illness, and is now in a nursing home.
Okay.
And then I have one other sister who she lives in Marouche as well, and then all of them really assist in helping to support my mom now.
So you are like in the middle.
Yes, I am
Oh.
the middle. Yes, and many people will think I'm an only child because I'm constantly doing things, but I am in the middle.
You told us your mom worked as a
Domestic,
domestic.
yes.
Wow. And
Yes.
she was able to save and,
Yeah.
get enough to
Yeah.
keep you
Yeah.
all
Yeah.
pursuing your
Yeah.
dreams.
Yeah, even with my sister going to college, out of the state, and my other sister going to college, mom was, she really instilled in us at a younger age that we needed to learn to work.
Mm.
And I have to really, I say this about my mom. My mom has programmed us not to have to use an alarm clock. None of us in our family use an alarm clock. We can get up.
5 in the morning.
Five, if we have to go to work, we wake up.
Okay.
My mom would say these two things. She said, "Get up. The world is passing you by."
Okay.
And then she said, "Go to bed because you need to wake up tomorrow." So, you I mean, my mom real literally, by 10 o'clock we were in bed,
Wow.
and
Wow.
at 6 o'clock, yeah, we were up, and we had jobs early on, so we learned to support ourselves.
How about the Christian side of growing up? Was
Yeah.
that a part of your family's tradition? Morning prayers, Bible study, I mean,
No, no, my
church going?
grandfather. Yeah, my grandfather was a pastor. Now we did go to church because in a rural setting, our church was once a month, and
Hmm.
my siblings did go to church. Now my brothers didn't really. I don't recall my brothers going to church, but my sisters, we were all in it. Of course, I was active. I was the youth director. Uh, Now in churches they may call the youth minister, but I was the youth director. I was the choir director. One of my sisters took piano lessons, also being a dancer. So we were constantly doing
Doing
things at
something.
church, attending vacation Bible school. In the summer, we were constantly doing things.
Wow.
And even now, I have to credit my oldest sister. I think at a young age, she were mentoring young girls, and then she either established some type of feeding program
Oh,
to help the
wow.
elderly. And so we all have entrepreneurship skills and things like that. My brother, when he moved back from New Orleans, he built his own house down the street from my mom. In fact, my mom is the only surviving relative of her generation.
And your
So,
mom was really an entrepreneur. I mean,
yeah,
she literally was not a
yeah,
salaried,
yeah.
am I
No,
correct?
no, yeah,
She worked with homes in terms
yeah,
of I clean for like
yeah,
once a week,
yeah,
maybe twice a
yeah,
week,
yeah,
and she could
yeah,
work extra. She could work
yeah,
I mean, she wasn't like a salaried
Yeah.
woman.
My mom was, she had another talent. She was an incredible cook, and
Oh,
everybody knew it. And my mom would make cakes, and
oh wow,
I mean, in fact, I wrote a cookbook, and I really was
wow.
dedicated to my mom. I wanted to be able to chronicleize all of her recipes, so when she died, other family members would have it. It's for sale for anybody else, but her mother cooked in a restaurant, and my mom got those skills. And so even today, when one of my nephew was in the military, when they were in Iraq, I think my mom sent a cake. You remember when they used to get a care packet and they said, hey, if you want to, somebody could send a cake. So my nephew and I never forget all these guys, they were on Skype and they were all coming in and we were seeing them eating that
Oh,
cake. It was
across the
incredible.
air. They traveled quite a
Yes.
long way to get there.
Yes. So
You know, you never told me you wrote
yeah,
books. Tell us a bit about the books
yeah,
you've written.
yeah.
How many have you written?
I've written one book, and the first one I did was the cookbook,
Okay.
and I did the cookbook as a fundraiser for the other. Before I started Elijah Ministries, I was the president of a national alliance for the mentally ill, and so they needed funds, and so I said, well, let me come up with something to help generate funds, and so I wrote that cookbook dedicated to my mom. And then in 2015, I wrote a book called Spiritual Awaken From Transition to Transformation. And in it, I tell people how I had this sort of an epiphany experience with God when He kind of shared with me some things that will happen in my life. And then I kind of share in the book about ministry and some of the challenges that I had and how God helped me to triumph over them
Mm.
and where I am today. And also in the book, that I give a section on prayer and meditation and teaching people how to meditate on God and actually teaching people how to learn to relax and what to do.
So from
So,
transition to transformation, how
yes.
can people get it if they want it?
Well, you can call our office at Elijah Ministries 251-1233, or you can go online. You can also order it, or you can contact me, stop by our office in Ruston at Elijah Ministries. And also, even if I have people calling all the time wanting to know how can they become a patient. And again, I see patients of all background, Medicaid, Medicare, private pay. We even take indigent children, adults, and I also do marriage counseling too
Oh
to
wow.
couples, yeah, who are
But
having
where
challenges.
do you see them in the Monroe area, the Ruston area? Do you have a
My office
location?
is in Ruston. It's
Okay.
608 South Trenton Street.
Okay.
So we have Elijah Ministries is in that same building with Mental Restoration Institute. So
Awesome.
in Elijah Ministries, they can get housing resources, they can get case management, financial empowerment, and benefits assistance. And in Mental Restoration Institute, they can get psychiatric care, medical management, counseling, therapy,
Wow.
and then I also have benefit assessment also with Mental Restoration Institute. And they can go to our website at www.elijahministriesnela.org. And it
Okay.
has all of the information about our different ministry, focus women's, and also has information on our international missionary
Missionaries.
work. Yes.
So I'll put that on the screen. Please go there, visit the website, make a difference. So let's change gear a little bit now. What's going on with burnout in the medical community?
Well, I think there are maybe a number of factors. And I think, first of all, it was maybe because I think the United States was definitely unprepared for COVID.
Hmm.
And I actually was out of the country. I had gone to Dominica in
Oh.
at the end of January.
Oh.
But when I came back, I came back on the day of the Super Bowl,
Mm.
and so we my plane was delayed in Puerto Rico, and so we had to spend we had to spend another night there, and so then once I got to Miami, um, I began to see people with masks, and I'm like, what is really going
Going
on?
on.
And then we started hearing things, but nobody was doing anything. We just saw a
Mhm.
few people with masks on, and I kid you not, 2 days later, our hospital was shut down, and I think
Your hospital in Ruston.
no, here in Monroe,
In
it
Monroe.
was literally we had so many people had COVID, and
Oh.
staff now had COVID,
Oh wow.
and then everybody having to go
Protect
and
themselves, right?
be we had to go and get screened,
Tested, right?
and of course fear.
Mhm.
And I think, and I shared this with someone. I was on a national Zoom, and I shared them that for medicine, well, COVID was so foreign to us because generally you see a patient, you can call a specialist and say, "Hey, I got this problem." Oh
Mhm.
yeah, we got that here. We'll tell you what to do, but no one had any answers,
Mhm.
and everybody was just almost paralyzed with
Mhm.
fear. And then I think the other thing was our national response was in conflict to most medicine because
Mhm.
we wanted to get the word out. We want to share with people, but it was often in conflict with what was coming from the national perspective. Burnout occurred because we had many people that were sick,
Right.
and then we had to work because no one else could come
Could come
in
in,
or
right?
leave, and then you had the stress of families,
Exactly.
and then you
Children at
yourself,
home and
yes,
right.
and then you had to, now you got to educate your children, and so there were multiple factors, and many people don't understand that persons in medicine do have families and
Mhm.
they have lives,
Right.
and then so burnout uh, actually is often something that you go and is usually a short time and is not typically protracted over
Mhm.
a long period of time. But COVID just didn't stop. It just went on
Right now, they're
and
saying
on.
maybe 40% of
Yeah,
physicians
yeah,
at some point within a 3-year period can get burnt out.
yeah,
I think the number one burnout they saw was anesthesiology.
yeah.
You know, so it's a new trend.
Well, I think psychiatry is going to be
Oh,
number
really?
one now. Yeah, because it is the number of stressors
Mm,
incredible, and then helping people to understand the transition.
right.
Uh, uh, Many of us, I think in the U.S., we just don't like, we don't mind some change, but we don't like for
Lots of change.
total change, and I think we've been so used to liberty and freedom
Hmm.
to go here and there when we want to,
Right.
and the mask thing I think was a shocker to many people. But for me, because I worked in surgery, a mask was
Right.
normal
Normal.
for me. And but I would encourage any medical profession, if you're feeling tired, if you really feeling drained, you find yourself to having more negative thoughts than positive thoughts, or if
Hmm.
you feel yourself more irritable, you have the early warning signs.
Hmm.
And then if you find yourself waking up at having difficulty sleeping, or you wake up feeling anxious, or you find yourself feeling overwhelmed just by seeing 3 or 4 people, and you seem not to be able to focus, and I would encourage get immediate treatment.
Right.
And some of it is just being able to rest.
Hmm.
And when I tell people that sometimes my schedule is so compacted, when I get home, the only thing that I really need to do is lie down and relax and not have to think about anything. And now my schedule, even the hospital recognizes it, so they've changed our schedules.
Oh.
Whereas, we were on call every night, now we have a 7 day straight. But we just started last month, and I was the first one to do it, and I'm thinking, God, I'm so tired.
Mm.
I can't wait till this is over.
Yeah.
But it's part of, we all have to adjust.
Yeah.
But you do have to get the rest that you need.
You
And
need
so
right.
we all plan. We have schedules now,
Hmm.
4 week schedule. We actually, at one hospital, we have a 6 month schedule.
Okay.
and then we say, okay, I'm off on vacation on these
On those
days.
days.
I'm not available for call. I'm not available for telemedicine. I'm not available at all.
So make time for yourself as
Yes,
well.
complete rest where
Right.
we not have to be concerned about what I didn't do. I need to do this or
Hmm.
anything, and so that's very important. But in psychiatry, I have to say that we knew early on that we were very prone to uh, 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 burnout.
Oh.
And so Dr. Torres, he early on when we started, he was saying, we're gonna have to start taking vacations.
Okay. So he
And
just takes off
yeah, we
for
do.
2 weeks.
Yeah, it's like okay, I'm out of I'm out of pocket, and we support each other. And at Allegiance, we have a good team. It's four of us, and we kind of can cover the entire month. And when one person has something going on,
Hmm.
we are very supportive of that. And at Serenity Springs, we're going to that trend as well.
Okay, that's
Yes.
cool. That's cool. Give me an idea. What's the most challenging situation you've ever faced in your career or your ministry? For example, you had a tough patient or you had a tough life decision to make as a minister or as, so I just want to know because people are looking at you and they're like, well, she's had it all made. She's 100%, never had a failure. She was an A-star student,
No,
never
no,
knows what it means not to
no.
be able to pass a grade. She's a mommy's girl, and some people are like, well, I didn't have a mom, I didn't have a dad. She was raised in a sheltered place. So I want you to just share with them your own, if I may use the word, maybe shortcomings, maybe difficulties,
Yeah,
to show that you're still human. And
yeah.
uh,
Well, that's really good. And I tell everybody that, you see the glory, but you
right,
don't know the story.
right,
One of the things that many people don't understand, and when I, either they're employees of mine or clients, I tell them it's one thing I am is, and it's a successful failure. I
hmm,
actually failed out of nursing
oh,
school.
wow,
Yes. I was very prone to quickly lose my focus.
mm,
And my godfather came in at those critical times and he says, no, you're not going to quit.
wow,
And I experienced depression in college
wow,
and anxiety. I remember being at ULM and having to go to the ER because I had an anxiety. I thought I just couldn't swallow. I
hmm,
was just overcome with anxiety and
anxiety,
fear.
mm,
And then at Grambling, I fell out again. And my godfather wouldn't let me leave ULM until I got my grades back on
wow,
track. And once I got out of academic probation and I had corrected my grades, he said, "Now you leave. You don't leave when everything is down. You gotta be restored." So he taught me that.
wow,
And then at Grambling, I fell out of nursing again. And he said, "Okay, we've been through this before. We're gonna get back." And so I did. I got back into the program, and I learned that life has challenges,
yeah,
and it is not necessarily, it's not fair. And I tell people, fair is not in my vocabulary.
right,
It is your perspective, is how you respond to it.
mm,
And then lastly, I would tell people that I think the greatest challenge for me is understanding when God is transitioning you and you're not aware of it.
mm,
And our ministry went to two great transitions. In 2009, we received state funding, and the state of Louisiana was going through a recession. And so the governor was like, "We're getting rid of everything that's we don't need, and that's something we don't need." We didn't have to request the funding. We didn't have to apply. We were part of the legislative budget.
mm,
And well, when you're in a recession, all the what they call the pork, the fat, or whatever is goes. And so we got a letter and said, "Hey, what if your budget was cut 37%? Could you make it?" Well, yeah, we could. It would be difficult, but we could.
so make
And
it,
then we got the letter, effectively June 30th, no more funding.
oh, wow,
And so that was a challenge because we had a federal grant and we had to match it. And
oh,
our
wow,
match came from the state.
state,
And so now the match is gone. So
wow,
I had to learn to fundraise. I had to learn to ask people for funds.
mm,
I had not in the past did that.
To avoid the whole thing
Yes,
shutting down.
yes,
Wow.
and you know, I had to really seek God, and, or go bankrupt. And we had these major uh, uh, social services that had long history, like
Mm.
Volunteers of America. Well, they went out of business, and everybody was like, "Okay, Volunteers of America, you know, you all are going to go out of business."
Wow.
And I just made a decision: I'm not going out of
That's
business.
right. Hmm.
Bankruptcy is not a part of my testimony.
That's right.
No, and so I made a decision to dig my heels in, and then. You know, we got a letter and said, okay, the building that you're renting is now in eminent domain, and we're going to knock it down and turn it into a parking lot
In Monroe
in
here?
Ruston.
In Ruston. Wow.
Our building, our Elijah Ministries building, became eminent domain. Well, you can't fight eminent domain. And so that was another hurdle, you know,
Mm.
that we had to go through. But through prayer and faith, you know, we made a decision. The building that we are in right now. But recently in 2019, I think was probably the greatest challenge ever when we realized that we would no longer have the federal funding,
Oh.
which was about 80% of our budget.
Oh.
And we had been receiving it since 2005.
Wow.
And, you know, when you have maybe 80% of your budget and you no longer have it anymore, for most people, they like, hey, you know, we gotta stop. And then in 2020, we had COVID.
Hmm.
But you know, I often tell people that, and Miles Monroe said this. You know, your greatest challenge is your greatest opportunity
That's right. Hmm.
to really allow God to
Hmm.
manifest Himself in your
Yeah, I
life.
put it this way. I said, what others call opposition, God
Yeah,
calls opportunity.
yeah, wow,
It's all a
yeah.
question of perspective.
Yeah,
Hmm.
exactly. It's how you
Hmm.
perceive it. And again, I made a decision. No, you know, federal funding didn't call us into ministry. God called us
God
into
called us to
ministry,
ministry,
and
right?
He would give us the resources, and that's what happened. Even on a personal perspective, you know, I can be quite transparent and saying, as a single female, having relationships and them ending, and wondering, okay, God, I'm taking care of people. I'm doing well. How come this can't happen for me? And
Mm.
I really learned that, you know, when I was in Japan, you know, I've had uh, chronic illnesses that really I should have died. Breast cancer,
Oh, wow.
and had to have surgery in 2012,
Oh.
where I couldn't even go to my office, and I was out for almost a month. Had surgery, but God, through His faithfulness,
Hmm.
helped me to triumph over that.
All right.
And even through all of this, I would tell people that, you know, you don't have a reason not to believe God.
That's right. Wow. We've been talking to Miss Gloria Mays. She's been unloaded. She's been transparent. She's been open. I mean, I didn't know about all the medical challenges and socioeconomic challenges, but here she is still standing as a witness, as a testimony to the goodness of God. Let Gloria May's story challenge, change, and give you the opportunity to make the right choice. Jesus is Lord. Look forward to seeing you again. God bless. Awesome.